Bearing in mind that I assumed my functions on the 1st of May, this report should be taken as a tour d'horizon.
I give the floor to the United Nations Watch. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam President, and we thank you, Mr. de Zayas, for this opportunity to engage in dialogue and learn more of your plans for this new mandate. With great interest, we read your report and also participated in your session with human rights groups. Section 2 of your report examines historic documents that guide this Council's mission to promote and protect human rights, such as the United Nations Charter. As you note, the term United Nations began in a declaration by the Anti-Hitler Coalition, articulated by President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Churchill. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which you also examine, was drafted, as stated in the preamble, in response to, quote, barbarous acts which outraged the conscience of mankind. Like the Genocide Convention and the Geneva Conventions, the Declaration was influenced by the Nuremberg Tribunal, which prosecuted top officials of Nazi Germany. The courts, affirmed by Resolution 95 of the General Assembly, has indeed become a bedrock of our international human rights law. Now, Section 22 of your report outlines your future plans for the mandate. Note 6 of the report references your just published article on forced population transfers, which in turn cites your numerous books and articles, I think it's fair to say your life's work, on the history of World War II and its aftermath, in particular, the suffering of Germans. Now, we have some questions in this regard. You wrote last year that because the Allies were not prosecuted for their, quote, barbarous crimes, that the Nuremberg court that judged Nazi war criminals has, quote, hardly any legitimacy. You accused Churchill and Roosevelt, the founders of the United Nations, of conniving in acts that are, quote, a form of genocide against the Germans. You have said that calling the Holocaust unique can negate the suffering of others, such as expelled Germans, and that this is, quote, tantamount to a serious violation of their human rights. And Mr. de Zayas, do you believe this supports the principles of the United Nations? Now, when a book was published about the complicity of Germans in the Holocaust, you accused the author of racism, and as you wrote, met with a lawyer in Canada to get him prosecuted for, quote, hate literature. Not surprisingly, and sadly, your publications and your lectures are promoted on numerous websites of the worst, the most virulent Holocaust deniers, including groups like the Committee for Open Debate on the Holocaust and many other Holocaust denier websites. Now, your report references dialogue and engagement, but you have called in your public writings only a few years ago for the Jewish state to be suspended from the United Nations and for its delegates to have their accreditation removed. You've also said that Israel has, quote, emerged out of terrorism, remains, quote, privileged on the international scene, and, sir...
Please stop reading your statement. Cuba, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora Presidenta.
Thank you, Madam President. Cuba would speak now to make a point of order. We would ask the President to call the Speaker to order. We believe that at this point, the delegations and the representatives of civil society should be referring to the report that we have in front of us, and they should express their comments and their points in a respectful way, complying with UN language, and in no way can these words be used to qualify the present statement, which has strayed very far therefrom in the latest words used. We would ask that the Speaker not be allowed to divert from normal procedures, and we would ask you to take the floor from him on an unconditional basis at this stage. Thank you.
We are currently holding an interactive dialogue with the mandate holders of the special procedures. It is thus expected that participants in the dialogue ask questions or make comments in relation to their reports or remarks. May I request the NGO representative to continue his statement with this in mind?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. de Zayas, in reference to your writings cited in Section 22 of the report, footnote 6, I'm reading from the report in my hands here, forced population transfer, do you think your plans for this mandate conform with the United Nations founding principles? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
With regard to the first speaker, I was a bit surprised by the insinuations and innuendos. I think they're not consistent with the practice of this House. In any event, I think anybody who knows my own website and anybody who knows my publications knows that I published in Oxford and in Routledge and in Macmillan and in St. Martin's Press, and that my books have been very well received by the American Journal of International Law. Benjamin Ferencz, United States prosecutor at Nuremberg, reviewed two of my books very prominently at the American Journal. And Professor Berkhoff of the Leiden University in the Netherlands International Law Review, Professor Bert Röhling, former judge in the Tokyo Tribunal, also very positively, and the article mentioned forced population transfer is from the Oxford Encyclopedia of International Law. I have only received positive comments from professors hitherto. So, as I said, I was a bit taken aback. Nonetheless, I welcome all comments. I listen to all of you with respect and with attention, and I will do my level best to accomplish the mandate that you have conferred upon me. I thank you.